Hi everyone, I'm Jimmy with Total Home Care Solutions, and I would like to talk to you today about remote supports. And we're going to be meeting with some uh, very special ladies later on and get some case examples and some actual experience of someone who is using remote supports. So let's learn. First, Total Home Care Solutions provides remote supports in multiple states, but we are based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. We were one of the first vendors in Ohio to successfully implement remote supports and started roughly 5 years ago. We utilize a sensor-based system that employs algorithmic logic to alert our team in real time when assistance is needed. So that's very important to us, and I'd like to expand on that a little bit. A lot of people think remote supports is something that it's not, and they think they're going to be watched all the time and it's a big brother situation, and that's not the case. We're only popping in and looking in and calling you, someone who might be using the service, when something tells us you may need our help. So that's a very important piece. Our whole system is designed on making sure you have as much independence as possible, as much privacy as possible, and we're only helping when we're supposed to be. We now provide over 1 million hours of service in Ohio each year. So thankfully, people have really adopted this, and we're very proud to be able to help so many people with this service. As of March 2021, Ohio informed us that they had 899 people utilizing remote supports with waivers, and 350 of those people were served by THS Remote Supports. So that ties back into we're glad so many people have adopted this, and we've been able to help increase independence, give them privacy, and it's beneficial in so many ways to just grow as a person and enjoy their life as much as they can. So I'd like to start with, well, how do we get remote supports? How do we utilize technology? And it all starts with what we call a consultation. So if you're interested, reach out to us and we'll have a meeting. We'll teach you some of the main differences between just using assistive technology and using remote supports. So remote supports and assistive tech sometimes gets called the same thing, but really it's different. The assistive tech piece is really just an item that you're purchasing that you may be using on your own. The remote supports is items that are also used with a company like us, with a remote supports vendor, where you would be interested in a service, you would meet with us and you would choose if we're the right provider for you. It would be an ongoing service, and you would control that person-centered planning and saying how we helped you. So really, for the assistive technology, it's about finding something you may be interested in using yourself without a service. Remote supports is utilizing equipment with a service. The next piece that we would talk about in our meetings, and this is the confusing part because there are so many options. There's lots of equipment. There are door sensors, there are bed sensors, there are seizure sensors, there are doorbell cameras, there are regular cameras, there's Google Home products, there's GPS products, there are stove sensors, there are medication devices, two-way talk devices, there's wearable devices, there's smart locks, there's smoke detectors, there's fall pendants, there's all sorts of things, and it can be very, very confusing. So really what we want to be able to tell you is reach out to us and we'll make it as simple as possible. We don't want you to be confused. We don't want you to have to worry about what should I use, what's going to be best. So let all that, burden be on us so that you don't have to worry about it. So what that really means is set up a team meeting. Tell us what your concerns are. Tell us what your needs are. Once we know that information, we're going to be able to guide you and the entire team. We're going to recommend various setups and pieces of equipment that might be used and how our services can complement those pieces of equipment. And you choose, okay, this sounds great. Or if we give you different options, if there's 2 options, possibly you choose option 2 over option 1. You get to choose, you know, what equipment matches what you're looking for. So nothing will be forced on you. It is all what you decide. For the internet, we know a lot of people are concerned about internet, but not all pieces of equipment require internet. We have a lot of equipment that doesn't even need it. So we can set up all of our sensors, our door sensors and regular equipment without the needs of internet. The pieces of equipment that do need internet are going to be cameras. And you get to pick and choose if you want to use a camera. So if you don't want a camera, then our system doesn't even require internet, really. The only other piece that might require it would be a 2-way communication device if we wanted to video chat with us. But oftentimes we can just use, you know, a cell signal, and we don't need a local internet for that. So if you've got a good enough strong cell signal in your area, you won't need internet. So there's a lot of benefits to our system that you might not have to worry about getting internet if it's something you don't already have. And if it's something that you do need, then don't worry again. We'll work with you with the internet companies. We've worked with internet companies all over the place, and we can get you discounted rates, and we can make sure that you're getting the proper speeds that you need for a good price. Protocols. So once you meet with us, once we learn about you a little bit, we are going to set up what we call protocols. That is really taking all the information you gave us and say, okay, this is how you want us to help and respond when a stove sensor tells us you've turned the stove on, or when you've maybe left it there too long and it's still on and you're not around the stove. Versus maybe there's a fall pendant, and if we detected a fall, how would you like us to respond? So they're customized to each sensor, and they're customized to you, the person who might be using it. We're going to enter that information into our software, and our staff then know how to proceed every single time, and that helps us eliminate human error. So if there were 3 Jimmys and we were all using remote supports, our staff no longer have to remember, well, which Jimmy is safe to go in the community without getting lost, which Jimmy might get lost, those sorts of things, when it guides them through step by step. It would tell our staff a statement of what to do, and then it asks questions, and it would be, okay, a door opened, call in and talk to Jimmy, or review a camera if you've chosen a camera. Did Jimmy leave is the type of question it would ask. If yes, then it guides you down that path. Okay, well, Jimmy's safe in the community for up to 3 hours. Check on Jimmy in 3 hours. Give him a call. So it tells us step by step what to do, and you can customize that and change it whenever you might need to. So you have the power of how we help you. If you want specific scripts in there, if you want very detailed verbiage, we can add that into those profiles. Next step, scheduling, paperwork, everybody's favorite thing, right? Well, our goal with the whole process, with bringing remote supports to individuals all over the place, is let's make it as easy as possible. So once we learn how you want to be supported and helped, we ask when you want to be supported and helped. And we schedule those shifts just like a regular person that would be in your home would be scheduled. And our system's only on and only monitoring and only assisting during those time frames. We don't check for alerts. We don't have camera feeds when the shift isn't entered into the system. So our software that we created automatically takes the schedule and it looks at, okay, there was an alert at this time, is there a schedule? And if there is a schedule, it assigns it to one of our remote support professionals. If there's not a schedule, it automatically ignores it, and our staff will never even see that. So that's that part about privacy we were talking about earlier too. We're assisting people, but we obviously want to maximize your privacy. We're not looking at things when we're not scheduled to be looking at things. So the next piece is we can cover any shift outside of a regularly scheduled shift, so it can be activated on demand. So let's say it snows one morning and you can't go to work. Well, there's not a staff member scheduled, probably because you were going to go to work normally. We could be told, hey, turn the system on. I'm going to be home until 3 o'clock when, maybe a family member is coming in, or maybe there is a staff person coming in, and we can turn our system on in real time. It takes 2 minutes. And it could be the same thing on the other end. If we're scheduled on the weekend, but you wanted to go on a trip with some family or some friends, you could call us and say, hey, we're canceling today's shift. We'll be back at 8 o'clock tonight. You can turn it on then. So we will adjust our schedule in real time as many times as you need, because people's lives aren't just so regimented and scheduled all the time, and it needs to be flexible. So that's our commitment to everybody, is we will flex to what your needs are. We help with all of the ISP revisions. We supply a lot of verbiage and information that can be put into the service plans based off of what we call a remote supports worksheet. So once we know your schedule, once we know how you would like us to help you, we input that into our remote supports worksheet and send it off to the team to look over, because we want to make sure we understood everything that you said to us correctly. So that's our way of saying, tell me if I'm wrong, or tell me, yes, you got it right. Then we take that and enter into our system. It'll have information for your service coordinator about billing codes, billing units, and those protocols I mentioned. It'll list who the backup contacts are if we're working with a staffing agency, who we're calling there and in what order. If we're working with families, same thing, who we're calling and in what order. And it'll spell out if we should be contacting neighbors, friends, or whomever. So you could have as little as one person on that call tree, or you could have 8. You get to pick. So next, let's move forward. Common areas of help. So here we have seizure monitoring and visual reminders and check-ins. These are used quite often for us. We've got supportive listening, communication, and really what that means is if you just want to chat and talk because you're bored, or maybe it's storming out and you don't like storms, call us. Or you want to ask, hey, how long do I boil spaghetti again? All those sorts of things. We'd have a 2-way communication device. You could reach out to us. We'd be glad to help and just chat. We oftentimes do what we call start of service calls. So if we're scheduled to start at 8 p.m., we could just call in, hey, Jimmy, how's your day? How's it going? And just chat a little bit. Well, we're on if you need us. And it just lets you know that we've officially turned everything on. Some other areas, we've got some elopement type situations, or what's commonly referred to as well as PERS, a personal emergency response system, can be tied into those. Cooking safety, mentioned a little bit earlier with the stove sensors. So if you leave your stove on, but you fell asleep on the couch, so your stove is left alone for too long, we can have it turn off automatically for you, so you don't have to worry about it just catching something on fire. We have fire and emergency response systems, so we can tie into your smoke detectors, and when your smoke detectors go off, then we get alerted. We can call in, make sure it's not a false alarm, because we get a lot of those with people cooking bacon or something. Or we could just immediately call for a fire department and try and reach you to make sure that you get out safely. We've got entry and exit safety monitoring. So if the door is open, did you leave? Are you safe to leave? Did we remind you possibly to take your keys with you, or your wallet if you're going to work, if you would like those type of reminders? We've got the same thing with entry exit. Okay, well, do you have a guest list of people that you say are okay to visit you, or do you want to use a password? And if you know the password's cotton candy, then we know that person's safe. And if they don't know it's cotton candy, then we know to help and get some assistance out there for you. Bathroom monitoring, because a lot of falls and accidents happen in the bathroom because it can be wet in there. So if you go into the bathroom, we won't see anything happening. But let's say you're in there too long. Then we can try and check on you and try and speak out through our two-way talk device and say, hey, Jimmy, are you okay? And if you don't answer, then we can send some help. If you do answer, we're like, oh yeah, I'm just brushing my teeth or whatever it is, then you don't need any help and we'll leave you alone. We can check on you that way. We have medication management, so we can help with just reminding you to take your meds. We can help with watching you if you need that, or we can provide devices that give you your medications, and they provide flashing lights and beep alarms to tell you, hey, it's time to take this, and it lets you only take that dose for that day and that time. For fall detection, you have wearables, and if you fall, that it can automatically detect that you fell. If you were walking or standing, or if you kind of slid out of a chair or a couch possibly, then there's a button on it you could push. And we have other devices that we're even testing right now that are very nice, that could tell us if you're in bed, out of bed, maybe if you're on the floor, if you potentially fell. So there's lots of options out there. We have sound sensors for noise, for aggression. Is somebody banging on your front door? Type of situations that actually come in handy quite a bit for sometimes when people have roommates and you don't quite get along. We've got where we can call in and say, hey, I heard it was getting a little noisy in there. Is there anything I can help with? And sometimes we can be a good, mediator. And if you have anything you're frustrated about or concerned about, talk with us. We definitely don't mind talking. We have environmental weather alerts. So tornadoes, thunderstorms, those sorts of things. We can make sure that we try and get you to a safe place if you've got some kind of warning in your area. Motion monitoring, if you get out of bed at night, but you don't come back to bed in a certain amount of time, we could possibly check on you. Or we could be a backup. If there's a situation where there was more staff and it's being reduced, we can help in addition to those staff in some way, because there is a staffing crisis right now, and I'll actually talk about that in a little bit. But we've helped a lot of people when they don't have staff available to them like they might need. So, talking about our monitoring center a little bit, we have all of our stations hooked up with battery backups. So if power goes off, they stay powered all the time. And those battery backups are also connected to all of our internet equipment as well. On top of that, we have a power generator to the building. So that'll kick on just like it would at a hospital. Within a few seconds, that's going to be on, and it's automatically charging those battery backups right away. The next piece is we have 3 lines of internet to our building. We have 2 lines that come from underground. One's from northbound, one's from southbound. We have a 3rd line of internet that comes on a telephone pole. So if there's one line that gets cut, and if there's one line that is just not working at whatever time, we still have the third line. So we are always up and running, and you don't have to worry about us having any downtime. That's our commitment. So I really want to talk about our safety program. So this is a huge piece that we started a couple years ago when there was less and less staff available to everybody. We got a lot of calls from people here in Ohio on level 1 waivers who no longer could find staff. And they were at risk of losing their waiver because they weren't able to find anybody who could work with them and help them. So we created this safety program. And what it is a 24/7 supervision through remote supports program. It's provided at discounted rates for selective alert types. So what that means is that two-way talk device, if you ever wanted to reach out to us, that'll always be on for any time you want to request chatting with us. We monitor for the severe weather alerting, and we can monitor for smoke and fire and carbon monoxide alarms. And we'll do all that 24 hours a day. The whole goal with this is so that you get a safety net, if this would be important and of value to you, to have when you might not be able to find direct care staff. This can be done with natural supports or what we call an unpaid backup, and you don't need internet for this setup. So there's not going to be any cost to you, of course. Our whole goal is in this program to give you an option so you don't lose your waiver and you still have that safety net. And a lot of people really like that two-way talk device that's on 24 hours a day. And they just call us and chat sometimes when they're feeling anxious about something. Or sometimes they call us like, I just want to make sure it was working. And like, yeah, we're on. So contact us. If you are interested in learning more about some remote supports and setting up one of those meetings we talked about, you can reach out to me, James Finley. I go by Jimmy. Here's my email address, jfinley@thhsrss.com. Or if you've got a smartphone, you could take your camera and look over this QR code here, and it'll pull up my contact information. We also have another account executive in Ohio that helps with intakes. His name is Dave. His contact information is here as well. And next, we're actually gonna talk with one of those ladies, Michelle, here very shortly. So Michelle is an individual who uses remote supports with THS, and she is thankfully agreed to talk about her experience, and she is with her SSA, Jennifer. So hi, Jennifer. Hi, Michelle. Would you two be able to introduce yourself and say hello?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Morris, and I'm the Service and Support Administrator here at Riverside of Miami County. And this is
Michelle Phipps.
And Michelle and I have been working together on and off for roughly about 24 years. So we have a very long-standing relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Quite long. Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us and talk a little bit about your experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michelle, I've got some questions for you. Are you up for it?
Yeah.
Okay. First question. Tell us a little bit about what your services were like before remote supports and maybe how they're different now.
So when Michelle first started services, she had lived in congregate settings. She had lived with several roommates, then only one roommate. And she really struggled in the area of being able to control herself with boundaries, jealousy, and just felt very frustrated that staff were always in her space all of the time.
Yeah.
So her team met and started to brainstorm an idea in which would allow her to have some autonomy. And that is how we reached out to THS, for remote support.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great. Next question. What type of technology and equipment do you use in your house?
So one of the things that in planning for Michelle to talk about things that were of importance for her is she wanted her own house key, that everybody was letting her in and she didn't have her own house key. And so in doing so, we were able to get her house key, but then she would lose her key.
Now I don't have to because I have right here.
That's right. We put on her belt, but to ensure that we were making sure that she was getting in her house, we were able to put the quick lock, the smart lock system in her door that allowed that if she did forget her key or forget, the code to let herself in, we were able to do that.
Yeah.
She has the door alarms on the front and the exit to let us know who comes in and out of her house, just to make sure that it identifies whether it's staff or whether it's just a visitor. It could be a visitor that maybe she's not getting along with. It could be another tenant in her building. And
Yeah.
this is nice to allow THS to come on to check in to say, Michelle, are you doing okay? Is everything all right? Or is there anything that we can do for you? So that provided the support that she needed there. Michelle really wanted to cook, but she was really afraid of cooking on the stove. And so what do we put on your stove? We put a sensor on your stove, and that allows her some ability to cook and make sure that we don't burn the house down, which that has been great success, and she's become really independent in that area.
Yeah.
Another area that we set up was her having a bed sensor, and Michelle would self-report that she wasn't sleeping well. And in order to, work with her psychiatrist and her team about how do we provide that support to you, that piece was really crucial for her in the early days to say, listen, she's not sleeping, or she is. And so that sleep log report was very helpful to us in communicating that with her team to kind of really determine if she's sleeping or not.
Sounds great. Next question would be, Michelle, what do you think the biggest benefit for you is since you've been using remote supports?
I like it having that. And staff comes in Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So you like having the staff really only when you need them, if I'm understanding right? You like having that extra freedom and space away from staff, which I don't blame you.
I don't blame. I'm a little nervous because when I used to have staff all the time, it would just make me feel uncomfortable.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we can help. Next question would be, how long have you used remote supports?
For a long time.
Long time. I think, Jennifer, it's probably been 3 years-ish. I'm guessing.
I would say that we were probably getting close to the 3-year after mark.
Yeah.
And has definitely proven to be very successful for her.
Awesome. So, Michelle, last question, and then I'll stop bothering you.
Jerry.
Would you recommend remote supports to other people?
Yes.
Awesome.
And I would unanimously agree with that. One of the things with Michelle that she wanted so much to be independent, and the flexibility that remote supports and the blend of remote supports and HPC has truly made her successful. It decreased her anxiety knowing that she had somebody available 24/7 to call if she was anxious or she what didn't quite remember something. And most recently, we've even increased opportunities. Just this last month, we just started using a med box. So as things have evolved, we've taken barriers and figured out, hey, she's doing fantastic at this. Let's take a look at this opportunity. So we've expanded.
So, yeah, because the nurse messed up one of my pills again.
We've really expanded on her opportunities to be able to be more independent in those areas. And as a result, we have, significant decrease in behavioral issues because she's just frustrated. So it's been very, very helpful.
Awesome. So would you say you're happier now, Michelle?
Yes.
Great, great. Sorry, I promised you my question before was the last one. I broke that promise. I'm so sorry. Okay, well, thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate your time. We have one more slide, and really it's just some statements from some of the partner staffing agencies that we've worked with and the things that they've said. So from ViaQuest, we have Rich Johnson, President, CEO. He said, we interviewed multiple organizations and chose to work with THS, not only because THS has been at the forefront and a leader in this industry, but because they have a principled approach to serving individuals. It's focused on the person and their independence while maintaining safety. Our second one here is from Ryan Knittel from Benchmark Human Services. And he says, I was looking for a single provider to serve all the individuals we serve at Benchmark Human Services statewide. Only a few minutes into the view with THS, I realized I found my partner. I recommend individuals, families, county boards, providers to partner with THS. Those are just some referrals for us, but there are a lot of other remote support vendors out there. We definitely encourage you to meet with us, to meet with those other vendors as well, and learn about all of the options out there, because technology and remote supports can just help so many people who have not used it yet. And we really, really think there are a lot more Michelles out there who would be happier if they had something like this in their life. So thank you everybody for your time. I appreciate it.